Mr. President.
Senator Viniana.
Mr. President, in May of 1944, before the Allied forces landed on the beaches of Normandy, Dwight Eisenhower signaled out one American service branch for their loyalty, courage, and fortitude. When Operation Overlord was complete and victory won, he predicted, quote, "There's no organization that will share its credit more deservedly than the Merchant Marine." The Supreme Allied Commander was correct, but the credit he spoke of was never given to this service branch in proportion to the sacrifices made. After all, no branch suffered losses at a greater rate during the war. Not the Marines, not the Army or Coast Guard, not the Navy. Of the 243,000 merchant mariners who joined the fight, nearly 9,500 paid the ultimate price. As we prepare to observe Memorial Day this coming weekend, we remember the fallen sailors of the forgotten service, and we honor a young Hoosier who gave his life aboard one of its ships. Without the sacrifices of the Merchant Marine, America's military would be unable to win its war or to defend its people. In war, our civilian mariners and commercial vessels transport and supply our soldiers, sailors, and airmen. They're the critical link between the homeland and the front, the one that has made the difference between victory and defeat for 250 years. During the Revolution, they delivered the gunpowder the Continentals used to beat the British. In the War of 1812, they armed their clippers and sloops with cannons. They ran the enemy's blockades, and they brought clothes and guns to our troops. Throughout the Civil War, they carried coal, horses, and food to the Union soldiers along the Atlantic coast and on the Mississippi and Ohio rivers. Wherever our men and women in uniform have gone in the world to defend liberty, the Merchant Marine has followed in support. Whenever America's soldiers have raised our flag in victory, its mariners helped make the triumph possible. And they've always done this in the face of grave danger and at great cost. Commercial sailors were among the casualties in America's first naval battle at Machias off the coast of Maine. They were killed by the enemy's fire on the oceans and the Great Lakes. From the Republic's beginning, merchant mariners have died in every major conflict, including Vietnam and Korea, as well as operations enduring and Iraqi freedom. These civilians transport their cargo into war zones with minimal defense. Because of their vital mission, they're the target of and often sunk by warships and aircraft. In no conflict was the peril greater than World War II. They left from America's coast, they headed for the front, carrying the Sherman tanks and Mustang fighter planes, steel and lumber, bandages and antibiotics, mail from home, rations, and even chocolate. On board those ships were what was required to defeat the Axis and to make a soldier's life just a little bit less miserable while doing it. That is, they made it to their destination. 733 of America's merchant ships were sunk during the war. The Samuel Q. Brown was one of them. The tanker was on its way from New Orleans to Honolulu carrying 80,000 barrels of fuel when it was struck by a torpedo from a German submarine 100 miles south of Cuba. The ship erupted into fire. Its crew jumped overboard and swam to the lifeboats and rafts that they'd cut loose after the explosion. 2 men were lost. The rest watched as the U-boat launched another torpedo and sank the Samuel Q. Brown. After 13 hours afloat, a Navy patrol plane spotted their survivors who were eventually rescued. The 5 injured among them were transported to a hospital in Key West, Florida. All survived but one, a messman named Harold Dossett. He died on June 1st, 1942. Harold was 27 years old. He was from Princeton, Indiana. He came from a line of heroes. Members of the Dossett family fought in the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, and the Civil War. No surprise then that he was active in the history club at Princeton High School before his graduation in 1932. He was well known and well liked in Princeton, a fixture at the downtown square where the local newspaper noted he was often seen at the front table in the local restaurant, the Alco. At the end of the 1930s, Harold relocated to Texas, where he found work in the oil industry and ended up as a messman on the Samuel Q. Brown, which was owned by the Tidewater Associated Oil Company. He'd served aboard two other ships before the Samuel Brown. Both were sunk after his transfer. The third one was fatal, his mother later said. It was during that ship's mission that he joined the list of Americans who have laid down their lives so that their countrymen could live in freedom. After his body was brought back to Indiana from Florida, Harold's mother was presented with the Mariner's Medal. This is the Merchant Marine's highest honor, and it's equivalent to the Purple Heart. Another honor arrived later to address the incredible losses of commercial vessels during the war. American industry mass-produced Liberty ships to speed supplies to the front. In 1945, one of these Liberty ships, the SS Harold Dossett, was completed. Ultimately, it was the men aboard those Liberty ships who helped win the war. As Dwight Eisenhower said, the merchant mariners, quote, brought us the tools to finish the job. Their contribution to final victory will be long remembered, he said. A contribution that cost many lives. So let us not lose sight that Memorial Day is not just the beginning of summer. It's a solemn day when we honor and do what little we can to give thanks to the men and women who've died so we can remain free. It's also a time to keep the families of the fallen in our hearts and those serving in danger now in our prayers. And let us not forget to pay tribute to all of the lost. And one place we can do that is outside of the Gibson County Courthouse in Princeton, Indiana. You see, a monument there is inscribed with the names of local men who never came home from the world wars. Hoosiers, go there. And among the Marine soldiers and sailors, you will find a merchant mariner, messman Harold Dossett. Never forget the debt we owe them all.